Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GDQ Hot Fix on this fine Sunday afternoon. My name is Adef, and this is PB Precipice, the show that showcases personal best attempts in their natural, true form. One day I'll have an actual tagline for this show. Today we are going to be showing off Ocarina of Time glitchless individual level attempts. So we'll get into what all that means in just a second here, but gamers, a few quick announcements. If you miss out on any GDQ Hotfix shows, check out our archive of past runs and shows at youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick. And AGDQ 2022 is just around the corner. It's going to be starting January 9th. Visit GamesDoneQuick.com for more information and detailed dates on the event. Danny, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. It was a little bit of a wacky last hour, but
Yes.
we made it.
We have had gamers. We had some technical difficulties. Thank you for hanging around and sticking around. But we are ready to go. We've got a bit of a janky setup for Danny right now. We'll try to fix it in the first break. But for right now, Danny's playing with a little bit of delay and no audio, I think.
I can hear the audio, but it's extremely peaked, so it's like really crunchy. It's really what you want to hear.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do is first, Danny, I would love to have you explain what are these ILs? What does IL even mean? And then also explain what version of the game you are playing.
Yes, sure. Okay, so an IL stands for an individual level. And it's a bit different from normal speedruns. Usual speedrun is you start at the beginning of the game and you end at the end of the game, of course. But in an IL, your sole goal is to play a single dungeon, or a level in most games, but in the case of Zelda, a dungeon, as fast as you can. And the setup for the IL is basically you can play through the entire game from the beginning of the game up until that dungeon without entering the dungeon. And you're allowed to get any items that you can get outside the dungeon to prepare for making the dungeon as fast as possible. I'll be doing glitchless ILs today, following the Ocarina of Time glitchless unrestricted rule set, which is a little bit crazy. You will probably see some things that you will say, that's definitely a glitch. Why is that allowed? But fear not, I will try to explain as much as I can about the decision-making process behind some of those things that are allowed. But yeah, as long as you follow those rules and never enter the dungeon, you can have any items you want to make the dungeon as fast as possible. So we're going to be going through all 12. There are the 8 main dungeons: Bottom of the Well, Ice Cavern, Gerudo Training Ground, and Ganon's Castle. So we're going to be going through all 12. I currently have the world record in all 12. I did a full sweep just recently. So we're going to be showing off some of the hardest stuff that you can do in glitchless.
Danny, would you say that very technically these are world record attempts?
I guess so. Yeah, we're going for PB attempts, which means world record attempts.
All right, then let's change the title, I think, and make it a little bit clickbaity. I think that's a good idea.
Perfect.
But Danny, whenever you're ready to start the first one, you've obviously got the timer there, so it's
Sure.
it's all you.
Yeah, so let me actually change one thing on the timer. We're gonna do a small count-in. We're gonna set the timer to minus 2.2 seconds, which is about how much time it takes to go from this save state I have, which is right before entering Decatry, until I gain control inside the Decatry. Time begins on the first frame you gain control on all these ILs, and time ends on the frame that you lose control inside the blue orb at the end of the dungeon, or in the case of something like Ice Cavern, when you hold the winning item above your head at the end, like Iron Boots.
And it's worth mentioning that Danny's playing on a version of the game called the Practice. The
Practice mod.
The Practice mod.
Yeah.
And it is an excellent version of the game created by a community member that allows tons of amazing tools to practice with. And it's also great for individual level attempts because you can load saves at the beginning of the dungeons. So
Resetting, worth mentioning that ILs are extremely grindy because they're extremely difficult, right? When a speed run is 5 minutes long, you can try things that are way harder than you would try in, say, a full glitchless run that lasts 3.5 hours. So a lot of these are not things that you can just cruise through, and so you're going to be resetting probably hundreds of times in your quest for a good run.
all right, Danny.
So, yeah, let's hit it.
Ready.
Yeah. So the Decatry is the simplest one as far as setting up the run goes. That's the delay. We got to get used to the delay a little bit, and once we do, I'll be good to go. because as I mentioned, you can only have items that you can collect before having entered the dungeon for the first time, right? And with Decatry, you can't really do anything before you get to Decatry without glitches. There's no glitchless way to escape the forest, unfortunately for me. So the only thing we can have, really, is Deca Sticks and Deca Nuts.
So yeah, ILs are like a really interesting branch of speedrunning that don't often get displayed, so I'm kind of pumped to show them here. Also, yes, Danny is dealing with, it's interesting as speedrunners, like, even a small amount of delay feels incredibly significant, especially
Yeah,
if
it's
it's
crazy
different than what you're used to. And we'll be trying to fix this in the break, but for the time being, Danny's basically just dealing with, like, we had some technical issues. Danny's capture card is being weird. And so Danny's currently playing off of OBS, which is
not ideal.
Slightly higher latency than
just a little
else.
There we go.
Ooh, I'm also getting a little bit of that yummy, crunchy audio. That's beautiful.
It's
yeah,
crazy
kind of
how
just showing off like a full no reset attempt here. It looks like.
Yeah, we just want to get an idea of what it looks like. Ooh, just barely missed it. So the record for this is 2 minutes and 0.75 seconds, I think.
Yeah. And it's worth mentioning again, like, Danny literally has the world record for every dungeon as of last week. Hey, Danny.
Hey.
In the Goma cutscene, can you move
Yeah.
your mouse?
I can. I can also change it so that we're not capturing mouse.
I think that's a good idea. Because I know you're like me, where you're one of the runners that I click the splits all the time.
I do. Every time there's like a moment, I go click my splits in case I clicked out of it.
I want to be sure that it's active. I'm the exact same way.
Oops. All right, let's do it again. So with Goma, we're trying to one-cycle her. And that means doing 3 stabs on 1 Deca Nut stun.
Your timer did not reset, by the way.
It did not. Let me do that. And while we're here, I will change the thing to not capture the cursor. There we go. Good.
Yeah, gamers, basically, if you haven't seen PB Precipice before, the idea behind this show is that we want to display like what speedrunning really looks like in your average stream. And we want to show off gamers like really going for attempts, going for all the hard strats, and willing to reset. So in PB Precipice, you are allowed to reset. There is no barrier there. So on these individual level attempts, Danny's obviously going to be resetting a ton because the runs are so short, not to mention the skill level at which he is playing. So we're going to see a ton of resets today, but the good news is there's like no downtime in any of these runs because all of them start right at the beginning of the dungeon.
Yeah, and the idea of the web jump I was trying to do there is to set. You guys have probably seen the one skip before, where you jump slash recoil as the web up there breaks, and you land on the high platform. Did I get him? Oh, I did. I couldn't hear it because the sound was all crunchy.
You know, it's only fitting that this happened on one of my shows. I feel like I easily run the most cursed programming on this channel.
It's so weird. So to give you guys a little background about what happened, I had OBS set up this morning, and everything was fine. And ADEF gave me some last minute tips on how to set it up, and I did, and everything was good. And then I went live in OBS, and all of a sudden the audio just stopped working on my capture card. Like as soon as I clicked go live, and I couldn't figure it out. I tried everything. Ooh, Let's do that again. I made a save state here so we can try to show off the strat. There we go. 2 frames for the last stab.
That is like genuinely a really tight quick kill.
So what I might do, I know this is PB Precipice, so we want these runs to be legit PB attempts, but for the sake of showing things off, I am probably going to be making save states along the way, just so I can show you guys what all these tricks are meant to look like. Because these, even if I wasn't playing on a delay, these ILs are the kind of thing, like I mentioned, where you grind it a couple hundred times to get a good time. And most of the time, I am going to fail so because of the caliber of strats that I'm doing.
The blue warp audio, Danny.
Was it terrible?
It's so bad.
Yeah. What else is going to be terrible is probably going to be opening treasure chests. All right. Should we move on to the next one, or should we do another Deku Tree attempt?
Do one more. One more, like, give it all you got Deku Tree attempt, I think.
All right. I apologize for my audio. I wish it was better. Usually it's great. If you stop by my stream another time after everything is fixed, it'll be good. I promise.
Uh-oh. Is that a plug? Uh-oh.
No, I would never plug myself.
Of course, of course.
I'm too polite.
Twitch.tv/DannyV. Maybe a working capture card. Who knows? Wow, look at that on the far right of the vine. Beautiful. Like literally a pixel further to the right and you fall off there.
I'm getting terrible luck with this guy. He's looking at me every time, but that was good bait right there. I got him to move a little bit so I could go past.
Yeah, once you get the Skulltulas, Walltulas? Unclear. Once you get the Skulltula to move, he's sort of in this, like, state where...
I'm gonna show this off. Gotta get it to work once. This is a tricky one. Usually you do a setup for this, but I'm trying to do it setupless.
Yeah, setupless is, like, kind of whack.
Almost. So the idea is that if I time my jump slash perfectly, then I will catch Link's head on the corner of the ceiling as I pass by. And it'll give me a little bit of extra distance on the recoil.
Gamers, you gotta embrace the jank.
Embrace it.
This is, we're doing it live. You don't get heart noises like this anywhere else.
Man, this is rough with the delay, but we're gonna keep trying a little bit.
I believe. This is also like, there's only a handful of frames for this trick with the setup. And so without, you're sort of like winging it even further.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just
hey,
imagine...
we did it. There we go. That's what it's supposed to look like. So that's the kind of thing that where like almost all of your attempts are just gonna die to that trick. Because it's the kind of thing you would never do in a real speedrun, but it's just the kind of thing you can do. And since it's 30 seconds into a, 2-minute long run, there's no reason to not do it. All right, let's try it from the beginning. One more no reset, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure that we got to see what that trick does look like when it works.
You just gotta imagine that the audio is coming out of like a CR. It's like 1999, and the audio is coming out of your CRT, and your CRT is like 40 years old.
Exactly.
That's the vibe we're trying to accomplish here. Also, Danny is doing a thing there when he gets on the vines, where he's pulling out the Deku stick, and I guess this isn't a glitch.
It is not. So it's worth mentioning that there are 2 glitchless rule sets in Ocarina of Time.
I've never seen the Skulltula move like that.
Yeah, he like went sideways on me. He like wasn't even looking.
I've never seen that.
I'm calling shenanigans on that. He was definitely cheating. But yeah, there's 2 glitchless rule sets in Ocarina of Time called restricted and unrestricted. And I'm doing the unrestricted version. And unrestricted, as the name might imply, has fewer restrictions. Crazy. And it allows things that are a little bit more outside the box than the restricted. So you might see things like damage boosts, or the tech skip that I did. If you pull out a weapon, during the frames where Link is pulling out the weapon, he cannot interact with text triggers. And so you can kind of walk right through them for that small number of frames. Let's see if I can pause buffer with this delay. There we go. This is frame perfect as well. Frame perfect analog presses are tricky. That's frame perfect as well, but it doesn't feel like it. That one just like has a nice rhythm to it.
See, interestingly, I find B1 backup easier than the torch backflip. Like, I feel like the torch backflip does feel frame perfect, but B1 backup does not.
Interesting. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses.
I would say you have more strengths than I do.
So the next one we're going to do is Dodongo's Cavern. We're going to go through these ILs in basically casual order here. And Dodongo's Cavern is going to be the first time we get to see the usage of items that you wouldn't expect should be allowed in that dungeon. So in Dodongo's Cavern, we are going to... Ooh, that was a frame perfect see up. That was the first frame you could do it. We're going to be using Bomb Juice, which completely breaks the dungeon wide open. Because you're not supposed to have explosives when you enter Dodongo's Cavern, because you get bombs in there. Nice, I got the kill. So what you're supposed to have is just the strength upgrade, the Goron bracelet. So you can pick up bomb flowers and only use explosives where the dungeon telegraphs that you should, because that's where the bomb flowers are. But having bomb juice right at the start is really strong, and you'll see why. So the question, though, is why can we have bomb juice in Dodongo's Cavern? Is it possible to get them without using glitches before ever entering Dodongo's Cavern the first time? And the answer is yes. So let's move on to Dodongo's Cavern real quick. So you'll notice right off the bat that I have the bomb shoes, and we can do stuff like this. And blow up the wall without the bomb flower. So in order to have bomb shoes before entering Dodongo's Cavern without glitches, what you have to do is collect 10 Skulltulas, get a wallet upgrade, and then head to the desert. You can jump over the gate in Gerudo Valley that blocks the way with a Cuckoo, using a very old trick called Cuckoo Jump. And then in the wasteland, there's a guy on a magic carpet who sells shoes, bomb shoes, for 200 rupees. And since you have a wallet upgrade from 10 Skulltulas, you can collect the bomb shoes. So it is possible to have bomb shoes before Dodongo's Cavern if you wanted to. It's almost never faster to go out of your way to do it, but we only care about what's fast for this particular dungeon, and that's it. So it doesn't matter how much setup it takes before the dungeon. Time starts when you enter. So let's give this a shot. So at the start of Dodongo's Cavern, here is the tightest cycle movement I think in the whole game. I need to make it to the left side of this room before those platforms go down on this very cycle, before they go down. Let's see if I can get it. This is like the great filter for this IL. Oh, just barely. It's so tight. You have to move like extremely perfectly just to be able to make it. And then bomb shoes are going to be really useful coming up soon.
Oh wait, do you do the BMOS thing?
BMOS
to get up to the switch, or is that in restricted?
So that's only if you need bombs. We don't need bombs.
Oh right, just beat. Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is what IL attempts typically look like, right? It's just like super reset heavy in an early section or like any particularly hard part, because again, the run is so short that there's like no reason not to just do it.
Exactly.
Whatever the hardest thing is.
We made it. All right, good. It's a really tight cycle. A nice little setup there.
You
right, we got him.
you're using the targeting on the first bomb chew to know when to put the second.
Exactly.
That's good.
So, I've got a little mask on. Why am I wearing Skull Mask? Surely that's just useless. It is not. Skull Mask has a cool property in this game, where Keese and Gweiz specifically, no other enemy, just those two, ignore you while you're wearing Skull Mask. And these Keese are hellbent on burning my shield, and I don't want them to do that.
This is real?
Yeah.
How did I not know this?
I don't know.
Wait, does Glitchless Hundo do this, or is DC already done by that point?
It's already done, yeah. But yeah, so
Wow.
I'm a sitting duck while I'm pushing this block, right? Like the Keese are gonna come for you no matter what. But not if you're wearing this.
Today I learned.
It just so happens that you only need Deca Sticks and Bomb Chews in this dungeon, so I have a free C button. So, Skull Mask is easy peasy choice.
I have an embarrassing thing in Ocarina of Time I only learned this year.
Done.
That you can press A to climb ledges faster. I've been speedrunning this game for 8 years.
Yeah, it's like it. Have you gotten it into your muscle memory to do it all the time yet? Because I remember
yeah.
when I learned that, it took me a while to remember to do it all the time.
I was bingoing constantly when I found out, so like, it entered quickly.
Yeah.
But I was
All right.
I did not believe that was real when I was told, but it's true. Oh my god, the audio. So good. So yeah, Danny has the Goron bracelet, as you naturally would in this moment of the game, and the Deku Stick Jump Slash, as everybody probably knows, is a very powerful, wonderful thing. It's as powerful as a Master Sword Jump Slash. Now, technically, Danny could kill King Dodongo with a Bomb Shoe.
Only as adult.
Is that adult only? Because you have to be higher up?
Yeah, so as child you can do it, but only if you do a bomb hover, so you can get higher up. But yeah, adult, you can just backflip and drop a bomb chew midair and just barely drop it into his mouth. I don't know why he's even capable of swallowing one, but so it is. All right, this was actually not a bad run. I believe my record for this is like 320.
It is 320.
325. Not too bad. Not too bad.
The blue wolf. The blue
So beautiful.
wolf is killing me.
So beautiful. Okay, should we move on to Jabu?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. So in Jabu, we're gonna see our first instance of a damage boost. Deep fried audio. That's extremely accurate.
Oh, I love ballads. This is great.
So we're gonna see our first instance of a damage boost here. And we're gonna use it to skip having to do basically all of the back rooms of Jabu with the ceiling tentacles, and also having to face the mini boss, Big Octo.
Also, if at any point anybody is curious what Danny's world record is for this, I am updating the estimate in the top left of your stream before every single IL to reflect Danny's time. So you can always check to see what Danny's PB/world record is.
All right. Let's see. Anything else to talk about in Jabu before we give it a shot? No, let's just do it. I think I've gotten used to the delay now. My brain has evened it out.
Human brains are pretty amazing.
It's crazy how that happens. You just like filter out things that you don't care about.
That's one way to put it.
So I'm setting Pharaoh's Wind here, because as soon as we get the boomerang later, I'm gonna be coming right back to go straight to the boss.
That's such a classic FW spot. Like any category that has FW here, that's where you put it.
Yep. So the damage boost after the boomerang is it's pretty hard. I'm going to make a save state right before we get there so that I can show it off. It's also several minutes into the run, so resetting just so I can show it to you from the beginning is not the coolest. Especially because this IL has this Rudo escort quest, which isn't the most fun thing to do. You just have to listen to her talk and then carry her around. But I have been able to optimize some cool parts of this. Coming up soon, you'll see one new trick that I found when I was planning for this IL. These guys, the Shabams, they just ruin like 80% of all runs. So that bombed you, heading off, and hit the ceiling switch over in the next hallway. So usually we would use Rudo herself. We would like throw Rudo into the ceiling switch. But now I don't have to, which means I don't have to spend time picking her back up again. Oh my gosh, dude. So I could kill this guy. I could. But it turns out that when you kill an enemy, the world freezes for 4 frames. So that would be 4 frames lost because I'd be waiting for this elevator for that long extra.
And you should press C up while you're on this elevator.
Nice and crunchy.
Oh my god, it's horrible. It's beautiful. Also, obviously, you know, I say obviously, but it's probably not obvious to everybody. Danny is backwalking, especially while holding Rudo, but a lot of the time anyway. It's a faster form of movement over a certain distance and long than walking forward and rolling. And
not on the way to this switch because the floor is actually a treadmill and it lets you move faster anyway.
And holding Rudo, obviously, Link can't roll at all. So backwalking is much faster a lot of the times when carrying something. Wow, bomb shoes in this room. That's new to me.
That's also a new strat for this IL. This was probably the hardest one to beat the competition on. RTA64 put up a really good time very recently on this. All right, I made a save state. Let's see if we can do this.
I feel like the chest sound wasn't that bad.
Oh, first try.
Sick. I'd say you're acclimated to the delay.
Wow, that's frame perfect too, first try.
Sick.
Dude, this is going well.
We love to hear that.
Good run. This is one of the hardest ones, so to actually get a run that got through all the tough stuff, not bad. All right, gotta do an equip here. We need nuts, sticks, and boomerang. Alright, decent boss fight. So this IL actually doesn't end as soon as I lose control in the blue warp. It ends when Rudo's text box comes up in the blue warp. And the reason for that is my positioning in the blue warp determines how long it takes for Rudo to start talking to me, and it's a skill-based part of the run. So if I line myself up perfectly, then Rudo will talk to me extremely quickly. Like that. Which is good. 525, good. I think my PB is a 515. So 10 seconds off.
5:15.
Yeah, so 10 seconds off on this one. Not too bad. That's a tricky one.
That was probably the fastest Baronade fight I've seen performed live, I would say.
Baronade is a really fun boss. Probably the most fun one, I would say. It's like,
It's definitely the one that feels like you can dictate the pace the most.
yeah, yeah. It's very like it feels hard when you first learn it, and then it just never stops being satisfying.
I agree.
Um, all right, so let's see. Should we do another Jabu or should we move on to Forest?
I think we can move on to Forest.
Okay. So before we go to Forest Temple, I actually have a little demo of something, a couple demos that I want to show you to explain some of the things that you're about to see, because Forest Temple is wild in this IL. So let me bring up some stuff. First of all, I'm gonna have hover boots in Forest Temple. Now, Shadow Temple early does not sound like a thing that could be done in glitchless, but with only damage boosts, it can. And it's worth noting that the glitchless rule set is defined by mechanics only. So if you're only using basic game mechanics like damage boosts, which are not glitches, you can use them to skip anything in glitchless, right? We don't care about what you're using them for, as long as the underlying mechanics are not glitches. And that's the cleanest way that we've found to define this. So I'm going to show you how you can do Shadow Temple early in glitchless with just damage boosts. And I'm showing this because we're going to have hover boots for basically every adult dungeon, regardless of whether it normally comes before Shadow Temple. So it felt like this was worth it to show. So I have a macro here that we're just going to play. So this is what it looks like to get to Shadow Temple with just
these
damage
are
boosts.
pre-recorded inputs.
Yes, I am not going to do anything here except click play. That didn't do anything. Let me go ahead. Oh, I just clicked record. I'm gonna have to do it myself. I clicked record instead of play. Oh well. I'm gonna have to do it myself. Actually, no, I saved the macro because I'm smart. There we go. Let's do it. So we're just doing a little position setup on this fence. And then I'll slow that down after so you can take a closer look. And that's it. Now you're up here on the boundary of the graveyard, and you can walk all the way along the outside and head straight to Shadow Temple that way. Now, just to make it a little clearer what the heck happened there. So this ledge that's next to me, you can't actually grab it on the side that is like open, but the little ledge that's just to my left right now, on the other side of the wooden fence, you can grab it. So what we're gonna do is fall off this fence, grab the ledge, and then right as we're falling, the ledge gives us a little pop-up. We do a jump slash forward past the wooden barrier, and just as the explosion dissipates, we take damage, which barely gives us enough height to get onto the ledge. So that was a really cool thing. That actually I found that one when we were trying to plan how we could do Shadow Temple early in glitchless. The other option would have been to use the magic bean, which is here, but you have to plant it as Child Link, and that would take a lot of time because we don't need any magic beans otherwise. Well, that's not true. Later we'll find out what we're gonna do with magic beans. Stay tuned for that one. But yeah, so we can do Shadow Temple early with just a couple damage boosts, which allows us to use hover boots in basically any of the adult IL dungeons, which is pretty cool because hover boots are obviously a very, very useful item, and most of the dungeons are planned around you not having them. The next thing that I'm going to demo, and these are all things that are going to be very relevant to Forest Temple, and I figured that this would be a good time to show some of these things. The next thing that we're going to talk about real quick is a recoil jump. Now,
I'm loving this little masterclass.
I felt like it was important because some of these things are going to look completely wacky, and I wanted people to understand what was going on a little bit. That's because speedruns are impressive, and you look at something like Mario, right? And Mario is movement. And you can
Mario is movement.
that's what Mario speedruns are all about, right? Like anybody can watch a Mario speedrun and be like, "Oh my god, there's no way I could do that because that person is in full control of Mario," right? And it's immediately obvious to everyone how cool those speedruns are. With something like Ocarina of Time, a lot of this stuff is very technical, and it's not obvious what's going on or why it's difficult or why it's cool, right? So I think that's what makes this game great, is actually understanding a little bit of the magic behind the science. So in this game, if you backflip, right, it's actually scripted movement. You can't influence this backflip at all. Link is just in the air, and he's going to do exactly that arc, no matter what. And worth noting also that Link cannot grab ledges during a backflip or a side hop, which is a shame because that's the only way that we can get Link off the ground on our own, right? Unless there's a ledge for us to jump off to, the only way for Link to get off the ground is with a backflip or a side hop, which means that we can't use those to grab higher ledges than we otherwise should be able to. So here's what we're gonna do. That little scrub just shot a Decanut at me. I'm gonna backflip, and then 1 frame later, this Decanut's gonna hit my shield. And what happened now is that broke me out of the backflip. Link is still doing his backflip trajectory, but the shield killed the backflip state. And so right now, Link is in the air, but he's not backflipping, which means that we could grab a ledge in this state, right? So it's basically like we just gave Link a little hop off the ground without it having to be locked into a backflip. So that is going to be really important, and we'll find out why in Forest Temple. And the last thing that we need to go over real quick is timer delay. So I'm in Death Mountain Crater right now. I'm not wearing the Goron tunic, which means I have that timer up on the top left that ticks down until how long I have until I die from heat, right? Now, if I just backflip or side hop around, nothing's gonna happen. However, if I pull out the Ocarina, you notice that the timer stops, right? That's normal. They don't want you to die while you're playing the Ocarina. Now, if I backflip and then press Ocarina in midair, I'm obviously not gonna pull out the Ocarina, but it still stops the timer until I land. So I'm basically delaying the timer until I land, right? So if I chain these, right, if I press the Ocarina now, the timer doesn't show up again until I land for a frame. I backflip again here. I can press Ocarina, and in this way, the timer basically can only progress 2 frames at a time. And that's pretty normal. Like, it's just a property of queuing up the Ocarina that the timer gets delayed. So now that we know why I can have hover boots, we know about recoil jumps, and we know about timer delay, let's dive into Forest Temple. And all of those things will make sense in a little bit.
I'm really racking my brain where the timer delay is. Timer delay useful in the green Poe room?
You'll find out
Like,
very soon.
Where's the timer?
Very soon, you'll find out.
Okay.
Also, I have Longshot here. It is possible to get Longshot before you
Your
enter
timer
Forest Temple.
is not started.
That's true. Let me start my time. All right.
Good luck.
Thank you. So we need this key. So the timer delay is going to come into play right now. In this next room, there's a cutscene that's going to play. There's a cutscene that's going to play. And this cutscene plays about like 18 frames after you enter the room. Now, what I just did is I pause buffered a side hop, and I'm going to press Farah's Wind. What?
Is the video game gone?
The video game's gone.
Well, you know what, gamers? I can't think of a better time for us to take our first break.
Let's do that.
So we're gonna go to our first break here, gamers, and
My
everybody
Wii
get
just
up.
restarted.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
cool, awesome.
Everybody go stretch your legs, get some water. We'll be right back in just a few minutes when we figure out what is going on. And we're all gonna have a great time. Sunday's a special day. It's a day for rest. So we'll be right back in just a few moments. Stick around, don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to PB Precipice on the Games Done Quick Hotfix. My name is Adef. We have potentially figured out one of the many tech issues, and we're just going to keep living with the beautiful, beautiful, crunchy, magnificent audio till the end of time. But regardless, gamers, hello. I hope everyone is doing well and did well on their break. Just a few announcements before we get into things. After the show, we will have It's Dangerous to Go Alone, featuring games with physics fun. Ooh, that sounds interesting. So tune in for co-op runs of Portal 2 and Fogs. Tomorrow, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, is Awfully Silly, followed by That's Never Happened Before. And once again, I'd just like to plug that AGDQ 2022 is starting on January 9th, gamers, benefiting the Prevent Cancer Foundation. Visit GamesDoneQuick.com for more information and detailed dates on the event. Danny, take it
Hello.
away.
All right. Hopefully you guys didn't forget all the lessons. It's going to be on the quiz in a few minutes. We're heading into Forest Temple, so let's give it a shot. So as I was mentioning, that room, whoa, has my controller changed since oh, it sure has. My controller changed ever since I turned on my Wii again. That's fun. Why is everything changing today, Ada? Why is everything
Well,
different?
there's this magic thing called Day of Show Nightmares.
Yes.
What do you mean your controller changed? What do you mean by
The
that?
sensitivity is much higher than it was before. I don't know why.
That's interesting.
Sure is.
Maybe it was because, oh, you know what I bet it was? I
Hmm.
bet your neutral changed when the console reset.
So, here's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try very hard to get to this elevator.
Yeah, Danny is side hopping. Frame perfect is not. I mean, are these frame perfect?
Yes.
Okay,
So
so
let
he's
me
chaining
show you what it
several.
looks like
Yeah.
with frame advance, right? So that timer delay that I was talking about is being used here with Farrah's Wind as our cutscene item to delay the internal timer that governs when this cutscene begins. So what we're doing is side hopping, one frame later, pressing Farrah's Wind to delay the timer until the next frame that I land. And so, in that way, the timer actually only advances 2 frames at a time. And if you do all of this perfectly, with exactly 1 frame of leniency, so I could either do everything frame perfectly, every single side hop and every single Farrah's Wind press, or I could lose 1 frame on just one of those inputs. And you see the cutscene just started, and I did my final side hop 1 frame before, and I made it to the elevator. Now this is something that you can do with only timer delay. And as I mentioned earlier, we don't care what you use fundamental game mechanics for in Glitchless. As long as the mechanics involved are not glitches, you can do anything you want. And so, that is what we're doing here. We're trying to do that, but unbuffered. It's really hard. But I'm gonna give it a shot a few times. So this actually can't be pause buffered. That was 1 side hop off. we have a chat message that says, yup, because it's totally glitchless if you have to redefine what a glitch is to fit what you're doing. Now, here's the thing. There is no such thing as a definition for a glitch that explains everything that you want to do in a video game, right? There's no such thing. If you look up the definition of a glitch, it says something very vague like a software, like software hang-up or something, like a bug in the software, right? And here's what's happening here. Ooh, almost. What's happening here is every game mechanic that's being used to exploit this situation is meant to be there and functioning exactly the way that it's meant to.
Yeah, this is just clever use of game mechanics.
I did it! All right, there we go. Perfect.
Congrats.
Thanks. So, you know, when you're running a glitch, when you're, like, creating rules for speedruns, you have to decide, like, what... You have to find a balance between fun and what makes sense, right? And in Glitchless, we have had the conversation ad nauseum. We've had this conversation a ton, more than you could ever imagine. We've had hundreds and hundreds of man-hours put into tons of discussions anytime anything remotely interesting and crossing the boundary is found, right? And for something like this, right, what we've decided is that there's no way to define a method of gameplay that's intended, right? You can't say the developers meant for you to do this, therefore you have to do it too. Oops, I think I just messed up. Let me go back real quick, and we're gonna start over, and we're gonna try to do a whole run. And I'm also gonna turn off the cheats because I have cheats on because I restarted my Wii.
Did you grab the ledge there?
I accidentally pressed a cheat, which like took me off of the elevator.
Oh, did you moon jump on accident?
Yeah. I forgot
Also,
cheats were
I
on.
think if your analog stick sensitivity is still weird, I think it's because your Wii rebooted while you were holding a direction.
Maybe. Let me go ahead.
So you might just try unplugging the controller and replugging it back in neutral.
Okay.
Because for those of you that don't know, analog stick inputs, the like true neutral position on your analog stick is designated when the console powers on. So if you're holding all the way left, left is now your neutral position.
Weirdly, doesn't seem to be the case. I just have very sensitive aiming right now for some reason. I don't know why. Like, super sensitive. I don't know how these things could be happening to me. Like, many things have happened in the last,
Did you happen to, like, break a mirror or walk under a ladder yesterday, or...?
I think so. I think that must be what happened.
Use the analog switch disconnect button that you built for any percent.
True. All right, I'm gonna frame advance through this because this is by far the hardest trick in any of the ILs, and we already explained it, and we already did it, so we're gonna go ahead and frame advance through it so we can move on to other things.
Railcoon's hypothesis is that the Wii is haunted.
Possibly.
So yeah, Danny is side hopping on the first available side hop frame, and then in midair, pressing what's called a cutscene item, or we call it that. And Four's Wind is one such item where in-game timers pause when the item is being used naturally. And so when you use it in midair, it pauses until you land. And there's this internal timer running to start the Poe cutscene where the 4 Poes appear. And so Danny is just delaying that and is able to get to the elevator early.
I'm not using EM right now, no, I'm using a RAFnet. Or, sorry, not RAFnet. One of the super old ones from Daniel Crack.
Imagine not using your electromodder. Couldn't be me.
All right. So because we actually went down and unloaded the room while the cutscene was still playing, the cutscene didn't get a chance to clear. So it plays again when we come back up. And the elevator goes down in the middle of the cutscene, like it's supposed to. Now, why did we do all this? We still don't have the boss key, right? We can't get to the boss. So why do we care about getting to the elevator early? And the reason is, now, when I take the elevator back up and go get the boss key, the elevator is going to stay up the whole time. And as long as we don't reload the dungeon, like void out or die or use Pharaoh's Wind, the elevator stays up. And so we can get to the boss after we get the boss key without having to do all of the pose. Since that's what usually brings the elevator back. Also worth noting, I have the Big Goron sword.
Yeah, I was just about to say. The Big Goron sword is the most powerful sword for most enemies. Almost all.
The only exceptions are Ganon and Flare Dancers.
Why? Well, you know. Well, actually, Ganon makes sense.
Oops.
Wow, that roll timing actually looks pretty tight to not get hit by that bomb explosion mid-roll.
Not if you throw the bomb early enough.
Really?
Yeah, it saves like 3 frames to throw a bomb there instead of killing it with the hook shot.
So Danny is using hover boots in this maze section, which again we covered how Danny could, under the glitchless rule set, have hover boots here. And hover boots break the maze wide open just a little bit. But he's just getting back for this small key.
So if you guys remember, before I was talking about recoil jumps, which is when you shield damage in a backflip to break you out of the backflip state. And that allows you to grab ledges. So we're going to see our first instance of a recoil jump here in just a moment, where I'm going to intentionally shield damage right after backflipping, and I'll be able to grab a ledge higher than I'm supposed to.
Did you see Nala's message in the chat? This is like genius level IQ.
Flare Dancers were sent to capture the Gorons, so it makes sense they'd be strong against Goron weapons. That is... How has nobody ever thought of that before?
That is huge brain. But then wait, hang on. Why does the Megaton Hammer counter them so well then?
Ooh, good call. Nale absolutely destroyed.
Absolutely wrecked.
All right. Blocks are boring. Nobody wants to just push blocks. We dealt with it once. We don't want to deal with it again. So we won't. Here's what we're going to do. I'm also going to save state before this one. That was definitely very late. Turns out ESS is impossible right now. Because...
Of your sensitivity?
Yeah? What's happening, dude? There we go. That's gonna be a problem for later. Bro. Okay. I think we got there. So I'm gonna shield this damage right as I do a backflip. Hop up and grab this tiny little ledge. Yeah, my entire setup is just crumbling around me.
Born to ESS, forced to shield turn.
Don't know why this is happening, but, you know, whatever. Whatever.
I'm curious if a hard Wii reboot would fix this. But I'm almost worried that if we reboot the Wii, everything might fall apart.
It just might not turn back on again.
Everything's being held together by like wood glue right now.
Yeah. Elmer's glue.
Yeah.
Ah, I meant to do this. Decanut's very strong against the Stalfos.
Yeah, this is now Challenger approaching, where the challenge is, will the game work?
Exactly. Feels more like wouldn't glue. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. That's the
Okay.
case whenever OT is running. That's fair, Moose. That's fair. Danny, I don't want to forget, so you just gotta remember this for me.
Okay, what's up?
I want the font and the layout you're using for your timer. That's what I want.
Oh, all right. Rich
Not right
gave it
now.
to me.
Who gave it to you?
Rich. He told me to use this font.
It's
For
nice.
GDQ. All right, so now we just need the boss key. The only thing remaining is to get the boss key. And then we can use it to head straight to the boss because already got the elevator up.
True. OT literally can crash just like whenever it feels like it. It's
We
a
could
pretty
see a
beautiful
VC crash.
I know, VC crashes are beautiful. How many VC crashes have you had in long RTAs?
Uncountable.
Uncountable.
Very, very many.
Do we know what causes it? Like, has the Decompile project solved that?
It's not endemic to OT. It's a problem with the Wii emulator.
Ooh, nice. That's great.
That is why we call them VC crashes in particular.
Now, the N64 version, notably, can also just crash sometimes.
Not really. Unless
I
you
feel like
smack your console.
I have seen it just crash before.
Interesting.
Like a yellow line up top left crash.
Yeah, usually that is a problem with like the user doing something weird.
I can't be blamed. Not allowed.
All right, so there is a really cool strat that we can do against Phantom Ganon that I'm going to try to show you. And I will try to use save states to make it possible. My PB did get it. Basically, the moment he comes out of the final painting, we can kill him in like 2 seconds flat. Oh, I can't hear him? That's not great.
Have to use visual cues like the old days?
I guess.
Oh, wait, I can hear him. I'll tell you. Oh, wait, but I have a delay. Never mind.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna try this a few times, see if we can get the fast strat. It's pretty tricky. It requires very tight timing on the sword slash after shooting with the arrow. There we go. And he's dead right away. So the way that works is when you shoot him with an arrow, he spins his staff, and only during that is he vulnerable to sword slashes, and you can knock him down. So if you perfectly shoot him with an arrow and then like immediately draw your sword and slash it, which is particularly hard with the Bigoron sword because drawing and slashing are two separate actions, you can knock him down instantly. And you never have to deal with like the light ball volley. So Forest is by far one of the mechanically most difficult ILs, as you can see by all of my save state usage just to get through it. This is one of those ones that, like, there's really no way to just do a run. Like, you can't. You have to just grind it for hours, and hopefully, at some point, everything works. Between the elevator skip, and the block recoil jump, and all the tough movement, and the boss fight at the end, it just, it's tricky.
Hey, nice
All right.
job, though.
Thank you. We got 3.
Okay, so, Fire Temple next?
Yes, Fire Temple next. Let me replug my controller one more time just to see if it works. Ooh. We reloaded a save state. Alright, so let's go to Fire Temple. And let's also see if my sensitivity got fixed. Oh, it did. Ah! There we go.
Aha!
Awesome. Okay, that's very good, because if that didn't get fixed, then we would have had some major problems later on some tricky ESS stuff. Okay, so Fire Temple is up next. Not really too much to say, except for one trick that we'll see in the middle. We gotta listen to this guy talk at the beginning. Not much way around it. We're gonna see another instance of a recoil jump here, but it's gonna be a little bit different than the one we did before. You'll see how. Recoil jump being the thing where you shield damage and break out of a backflip so you can grab a high ledge. So you'll notice I do not have the Bigoron Sword equipped for this one. And that's because, as we mentioned earlier, Flare Dancers actually are not weak to the Bigoron Sword. Specifically, they're very strong against everything that isn't the Master Sword, just like Ganon. They share a damage table with Ganon. Yes, ESS stands for Extended Super Slide. It is the ring of small input just outside the analog stick dead zone, just outside of neutral, where Link stands, like, just turns in place rather than moving. That area of input has some interesting properties used in glitches like speed preservation, but also it's just really good for, like, some tricky movement stuff that we're gonna see later. A lot of times Link turning in place is very important for certain setups. Yes, so I will be releasing a bunch of the Gorons here, but I will not talk to them. And funny enough, they just stand there. Obviously, they just don't leave unless you ask them to leave. So we're gonna just watch them stand there.
I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure if you open the gate, leave the room, and re-enter, they are gone.
We are talking to him because I'm not used to the delay and I messed up my roll timing. But yeah, you're right.
Watch them walk away.
If you reload a room after opening the gate, then they will be gone. Hopefully I don't talk to any more of them, just because it's slow.
It makes the movement after easy, though.
It's true. So again, we have the long shot here. Makes it kind of nice to just be able to do that.
Danny, guess what? Now, this will be the Fire Temple glitchless talked to one Goron IL world record.
Dude, the most prestigious world record of all.
I know.
You notice I dropped a bomb midair on the way to the block there. I did that to put away my hook shot so that Link was hands-free while he grabbed the block, which allows him to grab a block like 3 frames faster than he would if he had something in his hand, because he would have had to put it away first.
That's really big brain, actually.
All right, we're gonna try this. Got it, very nice. that bomb helped me. It pushed me sideways, which made me jump, and I curved the jump back in to grab the block. Helps me skip the block puzzle in that room.
What dictates if a bomb that's on the ground is physicalized or not?
You have to have left its vicinity by a certain amount, at least once.
Okay.
It doesn't gain collision until you leave it.
That's so interesting. I mean, it makes sense as a solution to the problem of, like, if you drop the bomb on top of yourself, it doesn't push you.
Right.
Oh, yes, this trick.
Okay, here we go. That's not correct. 2, 3, 4. We have a couple frames left. I think this is not right, but we'll find out. This looks okay, actually. Let's try it. Yes, this is correct. So I just stabbed the wall and put on hover boots, which gave me some recoil speed. I set up that bomb chew to explode right over here. Oh, shit. Hold on. I saved in the middle. This is really messing me up with the delay, but we'll get there. Okay. Good. We backflip, and then the explosion touches our shield, and hopefully, there we go. A mid-air recoil jump with the hover boots.
This is a pretty recent addition, also.
Yes. That was... Well, a guy named Toxic Oxygen from the rando community found that was possible a few months ago, but there was no setup for it. And so I found a good setup. The hardest part of making a setup for that was that the Goron was like very much in the way of where I needed the bomb chew to explode. So I had to find a setup that wraps the bomb chew like around the ceiling. There's also very little room to actually like stab recoil on that tiny little treasure chest. There's a tiny little gap right in this fire on the left here. It's not true to the way the fire looks. The collision has a gap, so you can just backflip right through.
There's two parts of the fire barrier. There's the damage part and the physical barrier part. And so
right.
Danny just needed to have taken damage to get through the damage part.
Yeah, because after you take damage, you're invincible to further damage for a small amount of time. So we can get through the knockback barrier by just having taken damage, and then we just go straight through the physical collision because it doesn't exist in that corner. And take damage from this. Fun fact, that explosion does 7/8 of a heart of damage. When a flare dancer dies, it does 7/8 of a heart of damage. Why?
Can you get glitched health from that? As in, like,
currently have glitched health.
The heat timer override?
That you need 1/16, so you still need to like take damage in 16ths from burning in order to do that. Right now I have 1 1/8 of a heart, but it displays as a quarter because the game only displays in quarters.
Yeah, I guess by glitched health, I was asking about the heat timer override, which I was wrong about. But yeah, obviously you have glitched health. Glitched health is just the community's name for the fact that the game can only display in fourths or halves or whole increments, or just fourth increments. We call glitched health any time that your health is not a precise increment of a fourth. And the game does reflect it in the code as such, and registers as such, but visually you only see the increment in the series of fourths. Which can be bad if you need to do something that requires you to die. and you actually have more than a half heart,
Big and
you
dying.
need to... Oh, did you die? On purpose, I assume.
Yes.
This dude is like, what's going on? This Goron, this poor man. Thank you for freeing me, and you're dead. Okay.
It's a fast way to get back to the beginning of the dungeon, now that we have all the keys we need to get the boss key. This room, let's see how terrible it decides to be. Oh, beautiful, that was amazing.
That's probably the cleanest I've ever seen that.
One of the cleanest I've ever done it. You'll notice I'm no longer using the hookshot to get the bomb out of the Flare Dancer body. You can just use the earthquake effect of the Megaton Hammer to do it remotely. It's a nice way to not have to deal with aiming. Power crouch stab the switch for fun. Alright, we're coming up on Volvagia. So the way that that dragon works, right, there's two different phases. You play whack-a-mole with her as she pops up out of the lava holes, and you can also, she flies around in the sky and like drops stuff on you or breathes fire on you. We don't want her to ever fly around because obviously that's very slow. It is possible to kill her in only one whack-a-mole cycle. And the way you do that is, sec. Okay. The one that flies around, there's actually two dragons. The one that flies around is hanging out underground, underneath the last lava hole that it flew into. And if in this beginning cutscene here, the one that flies around is exposed and then dives down into the lava hole right in front of Link. And so that's where it's gonna stay while we play whack-a-mole with the other one. They share health though. You're not supposed to know that there's two of them. But since explosions go through collision, we can actually damage the underground one with explosions. So let's see. Hopefully I get good luck here. Because it kind of depends on which hole the whack-a-mole one decides to pop out of. I was using Decanuts to explode those bomb chews. And I did enough damage to kill her in one whack-a-mole cycle. I got lucky there. She spawned in one of the far away holes so that her flame breathing didn't interfere with me doing my bomb chew trick.
Dekunut chew strat is so good.
It really is. Worth noting that the Goron Sword does do more damage to Volvagia than the Master Sword, but it doesn't even matter. The fight could not be faster, even with the Bigoran Sword, because of the Chew strat. Okay, that's Fire Temple. That bomb chew trick, the recoil jump in the boulder maze was a little bit slow, but that's one of the harder tricks. That's one of those ones that just kills every other run. So I think it's time to move on to Water Temple.
Yeah.
Water Temple is extremely destroyed by the existence. Actually, we're doing casual order. Let's do Ice Cavern first.
I like
That's
the
how I
idea of
numbered
that.
it. Yeah, so Ice Cavern, very short. The record is 1 minute and 48 seconds. The only thing that's interesting here, really, is that you'll notice I'm starting with 2 bottles full of blue fire already. And I'm doing that because it is possible, to get blue fire. Let's just start over. That was a terrible beginning. It's possible to get blue fire before you ever enter Ice Cavern by getting the Giant's Wallet, by getting 30 gold Skulltulas, and then collecting 300 rupees and buying it from the shop. So you can come into Ice Cavern with Blue Fire for the very first time, if you were very determined to do so. And since it is possible to do that, obviously that's what we're gonna do, because it lets you just go straight to the ending as soon as possible. Oops, let's just do that. Okay, good. Hopefully this room goes pretty well. There's a lot of really cool parkour with ice physics here. Whoops. There we go. That rupee sticks out of the ice a little bit. Ah! So the ice keys are the real pains in the butt in this one. There's not really anything you can do about them. Ooh, almost. And almost every single run dies to ice keys not behaving the way that I would hope.
Hey, everybody should learn the glitchless movement in this room. It changed my life.
We got there.
Adef, may I ask a Dungeons and Dragons question or just game questions? Well, given that I know who you are and you always ask if Season 3 is happening, I'm gonna say maybe not, but if it's not about that, go ahead. Individual level speedruns mean? That's a great question. Individual level means the individual dungeons from start to finish is all that's being timed. So it's sort of like a compressed speedrun.
Yeah. And it was a good question in chat. Why don't I just use the Skull Mask again like we did in Dodongo's Cavern to prevent the keys from bothering me? Unfortunately, you can't wear masks as adults without glitches. It is possible to equip a mask. Normally, the inventory slot that you would use to equip the mask would be grayed out. But we have a glitch called Equip Swap that lets you equip things of the wrong age, things that would normally be grayed out. But that's a glitch. Can't use it, unfortunately. It would work if we were allowed to do that, but it's not allowed to use the mask as adult in the glitchless run. So that's Ice Cavern. Pretty short. Some really cool parkour in that last ice room to skip all the block pushing. You're really just at the mercy of the ice keys for dealing with that one. Let's move on. Let's do Water Temple.
I'm pumped for water.
So Water Temple is going to be very fast with the hover boots.
Have I ever tried to make a sci-fi campaign? No. I've entertained it like probably anybody else that writes D&D stuff. But I don't know. I just feel like some of the homebrew stuff that's out there for sci-fi stuff is good. But I've never been personally interested enough to give it a shot. But I have written campaigns. I have written one-shots set in modern day. That I have done, which was fun.
Yes, so I'm starting with only one heart on purpose, and that is because at some point in the near future, I'm going to want to die on purpose to warp back to the beginning of the dungeon, and so it'll make that much faster. So it's a good question because it brings up the topic of like preparing for an IL, right? Like you have to plan for your starting conditions. You have to plan for what items you could have, what items you want to be using, what items you don't want to have, because maybe not having an item allows you to scroll to one that you do want a couple frames faster, right? Like planning out your exact inventory state is really important, and making sure that it's actually possible to have that inventory state. Let's do this. Good. Oh my gosh. I need... What? How'd that happen? Good. Alright, we got through. Those bomb shoes did not want to exploit that wall.
Did that bomb shoe just go through the crack in the wall?
Yes. That was actually a glitch. It's called Twisted Bombchu. If you hold a Bombchu in your hands... Oh my gosh, my sensitivity is changing again. If you hold a Bombchu in your hands and you backwalk off a ledge, it travels along the floor in a twisted state and it ignores walls.
Man, I wish that room went that well for me when I just go in there with the spin or the quick spin.
Those clams can be really annoying. So, we have 2 keys. We don't have the long shot because you're not allowed to start an IL with an item that you collect inside the dungeon of the IL. So, but you're supposed to need the long shot to get to the boss key. However, we do have hover boots.
Oh my god, speedrunner did a glitch. And admitted it. Said that was a glitch. This is so cursed. Danny, you're no longer allowed on my shows. It's just not,
Sorry.
It can't be.
Uh-oh. Let's wait for this boulder. Dang. I'm just gonna use the iron boots. Couldn't do the cool strat.
The cool strat there is really cool. Aptly named. There's like, you run off with the hover boots and then drop in, and you go down far enough that you cross the first like ceiling barrier and you don't need to equip iron boots there.
Yep. Oh, I guess that's worth mentioning. If a glitch happens to you in a glitchless run and it does not help you, it doesn't matter. No one's gonna deny your run. Because accidental glitches happen all the time. And it's very hard to do a glitch accidentally and have it be useful. Like, that's really hard. Most accidental glitches are almost always gonna be not useful.
Like either useless or even a hindrance sometimes.
Yes.
Like it's the pretty common argument, is it even possible to play Gen 1 Pokemon without doing a glitch?
We could have raised the water there, but no need. We got hover boots. Yes, no glitchless basically means no using glitches to go fast. That's what that means. All right, so we're at Morpha. This boss can spawn in one of 8 locations surrounding the square that I'm on. It can spawn at one of the 4 corners or at the middle of any of the 4 sides. If it's at the corner, it's going to be too far away from me for me to do what I want to do. But if it's at one of the sides, then I have a chance to stab it with the Bigoron sword in the water while I'm standing up here, because it's just barely close enough. So let's see if we get lucky. It's basically a half chance. Oh. Oh my gosh. I made a save state. It didn't work, but it should work. Oh, okay. We're gonna keep going until I get the quick kill because I want to show it off. There we go. We got it. I'm glad we got lucky enough to be able to show it off, because if it had spawned at one of the corners instead, it wouldn't have even been possible. Throwing a bomb through a wall is a glitch, but gliding across the whole temple in half a second isn't. Yes, and this is why you can't just say like, oh, well that looks like a glitch, so it must be, right? Like, it's the only way to classify a glitch is knowing how it works. And that's what the OT community has done for all of this stuff, is understand it as everything as deeply as possible so we can make informed decisions about what should or shouldn't be allowed in something like a glitchless category. All right, every water temple.
The blue warp sound every time like fills my heart with glee. It's so bad. I love it.
Yeah, Demeter, that's a good way to look at it. Definitely, we're exploiting basic game mechanics, right? As long as the mechanics that are being used are meant to be there and working as intended, it doesn't matter what we use them for. we can use them for unintended results as long as the mechanics themselves are basic intended game mechanics. All right.
Bottom of the
What
well
is
next.
Bottom of the well. Bottom of the well is the shortest of all the ILs. The goal of Bottom of the Well, like the goal of Ice Cavern, was to get Iron Boots. The goal of Bottom of the Well is to collect the Lens of Truth.
Also, after bottom of the well, we'll probably take our second break if that works with you.
Sounds good. Yeah, we're about 2/3 done, so that makes sense.
Cool.
Just as a reminder, the audio is a problem because my capture setup just died all of a sudden right before we went live. It's not usually like this, so I apologize for that. But
Did you?
don't really know what to do.
Here's a fun fact, Danny. Do you want to hear a fun fact before
I
we
would
do
love
bottom
fun
of the well?
facts. Yes.
Okay, this is a really fun fact. A lot of people don't know this. There are actually like online speedruns, like individual level speedruns of things online, and there's a pretty contentious world record. It's highly competitive, and I currently hold the world record, but I'd love to see anybody in chat beat it. The world record is follow Danny B%. And I have the world record. I did it. It's 2 clicks. I clicked the link in the chat, and then I clicked the follow button. But if you can do it in less clicks, that would be really impressive. Or you could tie my world record at 2 clicks. It's measured in clicks, not time. So just try it. Try your hand. If you have any questions in the chat about how to contend for this speed run, please feel free. But it's pretty easy actually, and I like it. It's a cool run. No glitches, obviously. But anyway,
I promise if you follow and you show up, I will have my audio fixed for next time. I promise you. You won't have to listen to the crunchiness. Also
is that
worth
without
noting,
using extensions? Yeah, this is no DLC.
worth noting that what I'm working on my own stream is learning the glitchless any percent category for all 3D Zelda games. I'm in the middle of learning Wind Waker. That's what I'm doing. All right, let's do Bottom of the Well. There's not really much here. The only goal is to get the Lens of Truth. That is it. And the only thing you need to do to get the Lens of Truth is lower the water and then head to Dead Hand, and that's it.
Should make a channel point redemption to make the audio like this. Nice Deku stick.
Yeah, I forgot what my equips were. I guess we have a Deku stick now. So you might think like, oh, this IL must be so easy, it's only a minute and a half. When things get short like this, what actually happens is we optimize it even more than we normally would. So it still took me hundreds of attempts to get a run that I was happy with in a run this short. Also, this guy's spawn position is RNG, so you kind of have to grind through that a little bit. Almost got the quick kill. That can hit twice sometimes and he dies right away. Not too bad though.
That's like, honestly, that child dead hand is about as fast as you'd ever want it to be in an RTA, but in ILs, like, you want that spicy double.
So the record here is a minute 30.0 something. So I just got 8 seconds slower, right? And that wasn't terrible, but it just goes to show, like, the caliber of IL runs that are considered good enough to compete for records. Like, this was a terrible run by any standards for, like, grinding for a record. But it was not bad, like, just to do one all the way through. And it's just like, there's such a difference between just doing a no reset and actually grinding and hoping for a good run. Everything needs to be perfect. But yeah, that's Bottom of the Well. Nothing too special there. Let's move on. Oh, you said you wanted to take a break at this point?
Yeah, so gamers, we're going to take our second and last break of the show. Please get up, stretch your legs, get some water. We'll be right back with more Danny B, more Ocarina of Time, and more Hotfix right after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to PB Precipice, the show about showcasing real personal best attempts by runners at the top of their game. That seems like a better tagline. I think we're getting there.
That was good.
Thank you. This is GDQ Hotfix. Just a couple quick announcements. One and Doneathon, a new marathon, is coming up next weekend starting on December 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can see more info at gamesdonequick.com/hotfix. And if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to join us over at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick to check out our live shows starting most nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. And on the weekends, we start around 1 p.m. Eastern. And while you're there, Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions and bits, so please consider subscribing to help future broadcasts. And Danny, why don't you take it away with Gerudo Training Grounds?
Sure thing. Yeah, so we're at your Gerudo Training Grounds. This is the mini dungeon that contains the ice arrows, and the goal of it is to collect the ice arrows. This one has probably the highest variance due to RNG in any of the 12 ILs that I've done, because it's basically just a barrage of enemy rooms, and all the enemies' behavior is governed by randomness. Obviously, we can do lots of things to help mitigate that and react to the different movement patterns that they give us. But at the end of the day, it's literally just praying that they behave and give us good luck in order to get a competitive time. So, but there's still lots of cool tricks in here, so let's give it a shot. Right off the bat, we're rolling around a cutscene trigger. There's a text box that should have triggered near that door. And the RNG begins immediately with Stalfos. All right. We got there. So a pretty cool trick right off the bat here. We hookshot this and recoil off this wall, and we can make it over that fire, which gives us a faster path through the room. I missed that rupee, what a shame.
I can't remember who the clip is, but during the bingo tournament, there was a clip of somebody who missed it like 8 times.
Here, we can do a cool trick. Oh,
you can do the hover boots thing?
Backflipped and took off the hover boots, and it inverted my momentum, which is cool. Oh my gosh, why is it so sensitive? What happened to my ESS adapter?
There's like this weird thing where when you have the hover boots on, I don't know if it's because you're colliding with the bottom of the rupee, for which the collision is slightly different, but it's like very strange. When you have the hover boots on and you walk off, you like cannot pick up the rupee in the way you'd expect.
Yeah, you like go under the rupee, right?
Yeah.
Oops. Oh my gosh. My aiming is all out of whack. All right, we did it.
How confident you were with every shot.
I know.
You're like, all right, and I got it. Oh, I didn't get it. All right, and I got it. Oh, I didn't get it.
Gotta be prepared to move instantly. So much muscle memory.
I know.
This is a pretty funny one in comparison with the glitched speedrun, because the ice arrows are visible and available right from the beginning, and the only thing stopping you is like a fenced wall. And walls don't mean much in this game if you're using glitches. So you can just finish this in like, I don't know, 20 seconds, I think it is, if you're using glitches. Maybe even less.
It is 6 seconds, I think, maybe might be. Is that SRM?
That's SRM. Look at the restricted tab.
The restricted any percent is 13 seconds.
There you go. That's the one.
Wow, it's interesting. The IL world records, like, any percent with SRM is dominated by save state. Glitchless is dominated by you. The restricted category is almost completely, I don't know how to pronounce this. Spittle?
No. Almost. This is a tricky one. Yes, there have been some people who have made it their goal to be IL masters like
I
no
think
one ever was.
one of those people might be you.
A little bit. ILs are really underloved.
Especially in Zelda.
Yes. They're a really cool way to play the game because there are so many strats in games like this that you can just never do in a real run. Like, it's just impossible. Like, they're too hard, right? So it's cool to do these strats and really aim for perfection in a way that you wouldn't otherwise. It's kind of like single star stuff in Mario 64, right?
Yeah.
I wanted these bombs. Oops. That was decent. Except for that bomb. What made me start speedrunning? So I just always sort of had like a natural interest in playing games fast. And what that used to look like when I was little was playing games that like have speed as a built-in factor. Like I was really into Mario Kart stuff as a kid, like time trials. I was really into Minesweeper for a time. I was really into a little different, not a video game, but Rubik's Cube, speed cubing for a while in high school. And I also just always loved Zelda separately. And then around like 2012, 2013, I noticed people speedrunning Zelda, and I like didn't even know what that meant, right? I was like, oh, how do you play a game for speed that like isn't meant for speed? Like, what's the point? And I started watching some of the early live streams on Twitch, and it just sort of like captured my interest. So it was kind of like a merging of two things that I already loved for two separate reasons. All right.
Only 3 dungeons left.
That's it. We got Spirit, Shadow, and Ganon's Castle, and all of them have some pretty spicy stuff. Spirit's coming next. In particular, Spirit is crazy. Right off the bat, we're going to see some very, very hard stuff. So let me talk about it a little bit first. So in preparation for this IL, I have planted this bean as Child Link so that it grows into this thing as adult. And this bean will go fly all around the wasteland or all around the Colossus, and eventually comes right back here. Now, our goal in Spirit Temple, our entire goal, is just to get the Mirror Shield, which is up there on that hand, so that we can go kill the boss. That's all we want to do. If we can get the Mirror Shield, then we can go kill Twinrova. So, it just so happens that there is a very tricky strat to do a damage boost off of this magic bean as it flies to get up there. And we'll see how that looks. It's pretty tough, but let's see if I can get it. So the IL starts by entering a dungeon and then, in this case, immediately leaving. So my ESS is kind of messed up, so we're going to just kind of go until we get it. My analog stick is not behaving as it normally does.
No, the beauty of this IL is that it skips any child requirement.
Yeah, so the only reason to ever do Child Spirit is if you want the Silver Gauntlets. Obviously, Silver Gauntlets are not required to beat the dungeon. The only thing you need to beat the dungeon is the Mirror Shield. In a full game run, we might get the Silver Gauntlets because we need to do other things outside of Spirit Temple. But in this IL, we don't need them. Man, I wish my analog stick wasn't, like, garbage right now. It's kind of a shame. That's not correct. That's right. Not any items prepared beforehand. Any items that are possible to collect under the rules of the IL. So this is a glitchless IL, right? And so I'm allowed to have any items that I can collect outside the dungeon without glitches. Oh my gosh, dude. It's crazy. You see this? I don't know what happened.
What is it that you're trying to do?
I'm trying to just
want,
do
like,
ESS turns.
How many do you need?
Like 5. One more. There we go. Okay, here we go.
So Danny is doing kind of this pause buffering thing to get an incredibly precise position on this bean plant. For
Pull
a
out
trick
a bomb
that
right here.
is really quite something.
That was frame perfect. Good. One more.
Nice.
Okay, we got there.
That was.
But
that
that's
was
only
great.
halfway. We have to still get to the mirror shield, and that's on the other side. So we gotta do a little more parkour. Just a little bit. Good thing I'm making save states along the way, just because my analog stick is not doing what I want it to. Alright. Okay. Ooh, that was not correct. That was also not correct. This is pretty tough. This is why you grind it. You don't go for no resets.
Yeah. This is not a thing that, lends itself to no reset.
One more frame.
We could have done PB Precipice of just one of these dungeons.
Oh no, what's happening? Am I in the wrong position somehow? Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna turn on cheats real quick.
Let's go. Streamer's cheating.
I'm cheating. I am cheating. And we're gonna go back here and start from here, because I think I might have gotten the wrong position somehow. Okay, let's see. Hopefully this works. It should. Oh, did I, RJ? That's probably why. I made the save at a part of the setup that I actually didn't think of. Okay, here we go. Trigger hover boots just barely on that corner, and then a side hop out of hover boots makes it up. There we go. And that is
Nice.
how you scale the Colossus. It's a really miraculous sequence of events, to be honest. The fact that that is possible at all with only like damage boosts and stuff is crazy. Just as as an example of the difference between ILs and doing things without without caring about the time is that I got the mirror shield at like 1:40 in my IL PB, and it took me like 5.5 minutes here. A little bit earlier during the break, Ray in chat posted a playlist of all of my IL records, all of the fastest executions of all of these ILs, all in one playlist. Maybe it could get posted again, but if you guys are interested in seeing what this looks like when everything works, right, when everything is perfect, that one beautiful moment out of my grind where it all came together, it's a nice thing to see, because that's what we speedrun for, right? Is that moment at the end of the grind where it all comes together.
One shining moment.
Thanks for the link.
No, thank you for the link.
All right, so we got Mirror Shield. All that's left is to get the boss key and then head straight to Twinrova. This boss key has a puzzle associated with it, but we can just open the treasure chest. The treasure chest is extremely close to the edge of the fire, and as long as the fire isn't knocking you back, which it doesn't, as if you've taken damage recently, you can just walk right up and open it. So Ice Arrows does have a use in some runs. There are some glitches, in particular a glitch called RBA, which use the identification number internally of a game, of an item, as a memory location to write values. And it just so happens that the value for Ice Arrows, when interpreted as a memory location, corresponds to the part in memory that stores your Water Temple boss key, and compass, and dungeon map. And so you can use the Ice Arrows, like, secondhand, not as Ice Arrows, but just as a pointer to that part of memory, and then give yourself the Water Temple boss key or dungeon map. Pretty cool. Was that a glitchless jump for Rando? I don't really have any affiliation with Randomizer. Most of these strats were made for glitchless speedruns of the game. It is not considered a glitch by the OT speedrunning community. The Rando glitchless rules were kind of like an adaptation of the existing OT glitchless rules. Like they started with that and then built off it in ways that made more sense for them, I think. So some of the stuff that is allowed in Randomizer isn't allowed in glitchless, and vice versa. Like, I think Randomizer allows ground jumps, right? Because they're like accessible, because they're very easy.
I think so. I think there are different Randomizer rule sets, just like, you know, anything else.
Gotcha.
But I really wouldn't know. OT Rando could not interest me less for some reason.
Yeah, I've tried to get into it. It's just I feel like every time that I have started a randomizer and I've like gotten into it, I'm like, this is taking a while. I could have been using this time to speedrun.
That's, yeah. I don't know why. I love OT so much, and speedrunning is so fun, but for some reason I just don't enjoy watching or playing the rando.
Yeah. But,
and
you know,
there are
it's a
randos
good
I
thing.
like.
It's a good thing because, like, OT doesn't have the largest speedrunning community. You know, there was a time back in its heyday where OT was like one of the biggest speed games. It was like very hyped. There was a lot of big personalities streaming it and speedrunning it on Twitch, and it had a lot of popularity and momentum behind it. And that has since waned as the game got more and more technical and less easy to follow for viewers, which is understandable. So I'm glad Randomizer exists as a way to keep, you know, like the more casual interest alive. And there have been plenty of strats that have come out of the absolute, like, monster player base of Randomizer that have been then co-opted into speedruns because, you know, just more minds working on the game means more strats.
Absolutely. No shame on Rando. There's lots of cool stuff that has happened, for sure.
Yeah.
Bingo is better, yes, obviously, but, like, you know, it doesn't matter.
All right, so Twinrova is not the best boss for speedruns. Very random. We just kind of have to wait around and she will shoot beams at us whenever she pleases. Oh, the OT randomizer randomizes the location of all the items. Oh my god, I got blocked. That hasn't happened in a long time. The other sister blocked me.
Sounds like the plot to Comedy of Errors. Shakespeare. Little Shakespeare joke for you there, Danny. How'd you like that?
Didn't get it. I'm not a Shakespeare boy.
Okay, well, where my Shakespeare heads at in the chat?
One more. Oh god, which one's gonna shoot? That one. Got lucky.
Wait, how were you able to tell? Or were you just guessing?
Oh, I waited until she telegraphed it.
What's the telegraph? Hang on.
The charging up for the shot. She like did her animation and stuff.
Oh.
I'm
on a small delay, and so I thought you just knew somehow.
Well, sometimes you can predict. There's a cool thing where like you can understand the logic of how she decides when to shoot and which sister shoots when. Hold on. I don't know why I just pulled out a hookshot there. So like if both sisters are on a platform, right? That means they only shoot naturally from one of the square platforms on the outside. So let's say both sisters go to one of the platforms. That means only one of them is going to shoot you, right? It means the other one has basically wasted the shot. But the game has flagged that she went to a platform and therefore still wants to shoot, and so she has a shot queued up. And so what that means is the next time that sister stops anywhere, she is going to expend that queued up shot, unless the other one stops somewhere first and delays it even further. So that queued up shot just stays forever until the next time that sister is free to shoot.
Koume or Kotake going to one of the pillars means they're gonna shoot?
Yes. Guaranteed.
Oh
and the only time she will ever shoot from the middle is if she had queued up a shot from a pillar but gotten overridden by the other sister doing it first.
I genuinely did not know this. I thought they just stopped wherever they wanted and shot all the time.
I just learned that recently. That's something that came out of decomp. All right, there we go. That's Spirit Temple.
We have a hair under 30 minutes left, so we might have to go quickly into the next dungeon.
Sure. Yeah, we're almost at the end. We only got Shadow and then Gannis Castle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. So we're good to go. So Shadow Temple is one of the longer ones, like Spirit Temple is. And funny enough, we got hover boots for every single adult dungeon because they were useful. Now we're at Shadow Temple, where hover boots reside, and we will skip them because that's how speedruns work.
Yay.
Oh my god, my aiming is so out of whack from whatever changed in my controller.
Missed the target so many times.
So, why are we skipping hover boots? Well, because we'd have to go way out of our way to get them. And we don't need them because we can do stuff like this.
Oh, in the save file, you know which... Yeah, that's smart.
Made it. All right, good. Only second try. Not too bad. That's a tricky damage boost.
I was going to say, oh, first try, but then I remembered that this is a save file you already...
Yes, I set up a save state that guaranteed
the truth spinner is determined at save file.
No, it's not actually. It's determined on room load. It randomizes every time you load the room.
Is it actually?
Yep.
I just haven't failed it in so long, I guess I just assumed. But that would make sense, because why would Truth Spinner be something they were like, yes, this will be dictated at start of file?
Yeah, so you could enter the room, use your Lens of Truth and see the skull that's supposed to be, leave the room, reload it, and use Lens of Truth, and it would be different. So there's 3 Skulltulas in this room. And hopefully that Decanut stunned all 3 of them with good positioning. And it did, nice. What? Oh. That was weird. I accidentally pressed pause. Alright. So we're coming up on a cool trick here. These spike umbrellas are sort of like the linchpin to the whole room. And it's possible to damage boost onto them just like that. Glad I got that first try. That's a tricky one. Normally you'd have to push a block for like 45 seconds in that room.
Is that allowed and restricted?
Not in restricted, no. Damage boosts are not allowed in restricted in general.
That's my bah humbug moment.
Yeah, it's because damage boosts are just so broken. Like, you can do so much nonsense with them that it's worth it to have a category without them. The backflip through them is considered a glitch. That's clipping. For a while, it was allowed in glitch lists a long time ago, but then we actually looked into it. And it was determined that it was absolutely a glitch.
Get you someone who actually knows where the visual cue is on the wall for that hookshot target. I'm of the class of individuals that just try it until it works.
Alright, so we're gonna set Farah's win there. Because when you go into this room, the only way out normally is to kill all the keys, but that is slow because keys are annoying, so we just Farah's wind out of the room.
Can you do that without magic, the quick spin to hit the chew?
I'm actually not sure. I don't think so. The sword hitbox when you quick spin without magic is like really puny. You could do it with a crouch stab though.
Okay.
Alright, so normally you need iron boots in this room to make it through the fans, but hopefully... Oh, gosh. I got destroyed by that fan? Sometimes the fan cycles are kind of unpredictable. At least I made it still. Lucky. But I still made it through that iron boots, that's good.
Nice.
Fun fact, Gibdos and Redeads only notice you if you walk. If you roll, they don't notice you. All right. Not too terrible so far for a no reset.
I think it's going great.
So we have one more spot where hover boots are meant to be required. You know, it's funny, hover boots are such an integral part of this dungeon, but they're only technically required in 2 spots. one at the very beginning with the truth spinner, which we damage boosted past. And then there's another gap right before the boss door in the room with all the invisible floor platforms. And nowhere else do you actually need hover boots to cross. Luckily, we can do a damage boost in both places. Oops. Invisible floor master in this room. Got him. Oops. I swear bonking on doors is like my biggest nemesis in this game. Because you always
It's always tough to... You want to fit in that last little roll.
Because, like, what you don't want is to have your roll end before the door, and then you have to accelerate your walk again to reach the door. You want the roll to end, like, exactly at the door. And so it's like you're always playing a game of chicken with your roll timing. Alright, so there's a cool little cutscene skip coming up, where I'm gonna shoot down this this statue bridge with the bow, and then we don't actually have to watch it go down. Because I side-hopped right and voided out, but the flag is already set for it being down. Alright. So we have made it to the end of Shadow Temple, and there's one more hard trick.
This has been seen on one of my hotfix shows before.
Has it?
You did this in the Challenger Approaching, where we set puzzles for each other.
Oh, that's right.
I made a setup for a way to do this for you, but I didn't know you already knew a way to do this.
Yeah, this was... Back in the day, Glitchless also used to... The full Glitchless category used to skip hover boots. So I've had this in my hands for many years.
My setup involved a mega flip. Or 2. Maybe 3. Unclear.
Oh, that's right. I didn't have... Did I not have shield? What was the restriction that made that hard?
Maybe? No, I think you had... I can't remember. I don't know. My challenge was whack.
See if I can manipulate this hand to be right in front of me. Barely shoot the thumb. There we go. Alright, the Goron Sword makes quick work of that.
Very nice.
Not too bad. What's the record for Shadow? 9 something, right?
9:18.
Okay.
I don't see Ganon's castle on the IL leaderboard.
Could be there. Isn't it the last one?
No.
What?
Oh, inside Ganon's castle. It's
There we go.
4th to last.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Alright, so Ganon's Castle. We're at the end here. This is the last one. And there's one interesting thing to talk about. A lot of people are going to be upset with this one. Out of everything that I've shown you that toes the line between glitch and not glitch, this is going to be the one that turns you against me. I'm sure of it.
I imagine you're about to go into the wall to skip trials.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay, so this is allowed in glitchless unrestricted, but not in glitchless restricted. So here's the deal, right? A loading zone in this game is just a polygon of collision, right? that is flagged to load a new area when Link is above it. That's what loading zones are. So if we turn on Collision Viewer, right? See that green one in there? That's the loading zone. That when Link is above that polygon, it will load the inside of Ganon's castle. However, this area has a special property where, for some reason, the developers also flagged this wall as a loading zone. This wall is literally a loading zone. It is a normal polygon, and it is programmed normally to go to the inside of Ganon's tower. Now the problem is Link needs to be above it, right? And you can see I'm next to it. And even if I were to, like, try to backflip, let's see here. Even if I were to backflip, I still can't get quite over it. I just need my coordinate to be exactly over at least the bottom of the wall in order for it to trigger, but I can't do it. I need a little more height. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use damage boost to get a little more height, and then all we need to do, I'll turn on cheats real quick so you can see. If we just get a little bit of height under this, on this wall, so that we can be considered to be over the wall, then it loads the inside of Ganon's castle. And this is allowed in glitchless because the only things we consider are game mechanics, right? This is a wall that they didn't mean to be in there, but it is a normally functioning wall, and it's not a glitch to use it. It's exactly the same as every other loading zone in the game. It's just not meant to be there, and you're not meant to know that it's there. So as long as we can touch it without the use of glitched mechanics, it's allowed. And that's what we're gonna do. We can skip the entirety of Trials like that.
Allowed in, is this allowed in unrestricted?
It is allowed in unrestricted. Now, all these ILs follow the unrestricted rules.
Okay, cool. I didn't know if the IL rules were slightly different or not.
Oops. Hopefully this still works. Okay. So let's set this up properly. It might have been a little early. We'll find out. A little early. Let's just do another attempt, since it's like 10 seconds into the run.
That's a really smart way to get up there. I never would have thought of doing it this way.
This setup has gone through a lot of iterations, and this is the best one. That work? We worked.
Very nice.
All right, and the rest is just baiting these enemies into behaving the way I want. So there, like I mentioned earlier, there's two glitchless rule sets in this game and two different categories associated with them. Glitchless Unrestricted is the one that allows all the stuff that is technically not a glitch. And Glitchless Restricted is the one that only allows things that are like definitely not a glitch no matter how you slice it, right? So it's kind of like Glitchless Restricted takes the mindset of if there's a way to explain this as a glitch, it's banned. And Glitchless Unrestricted says, if there's a reasonable way to explain this as not a glitch, then it's allowed. And because Ocarina of Time is such a rich game with tons of different mechanics, having those two different outlooks on what glitchless means actually offers, like, leads to two really different and interesting categories. Oops. Got messed up by those guys.
The synced up death noise.
We're coming up to the end of everything here. We've made it through all 12 ILs. All that's left is Ganondorf himself. This IL ends at Ganondorf because he is actually in the dungeon proper. We don't have to go do the whole like tower collapse and Ganon thing. It's considered a separate area. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. ILs are like, they're really sort of like underrated is the word I'm looking for. Not many people play them, but it's really cool to play this game in a way that you don't get to see in most other speedruns, right? Like, all of these strats are they're so much more difficult than you would ever see in a regular speedrun, and seeing them all come together in basically what feels like a superhuman run is just so cool. So I wish more people would play ILs, because there's a lot of really talented OOT runners out there, and we could see some really sick few minutes of gameplay if they all decided to run them.
Everybody, if you have enjoyed this run, I implore you to go follow Danny on Twitch. It will take you no time at all. It will be an exciting choice for you, a life-uplifting decision. So be sure to do that as we close out the run here. Yeah, good luck, have fun with the dwarf.
Thanks. There's one random element of this fight. Ganondorf can throw a fast light ball or a slow one. He's giving me the slow one here. I use a bottle to reflect the light ball because it's actually easier. It gives you more frames to reflect it. And that's time. That last frame, the last stab there is 2 frames. With the Master Sword, you gotta do 10 stabs, and all of them are 2 frames. So that's a little tricky. But with the Big Orange Sword, it's a lot easier.
You were only 12 seconds off your record there.
Yeah, there's not too much variance on this one. It's just like the damage boost trick, and then hopefully the enemies behave. Actually, I have a record pending. I just set a new record in this one that isn't on the leaderboard yet. I got a 3:56, I think, which is 5 seconds faster than the record that's listed. Oh yeah. That's all of them. We got through them all. On a jank setup, no less. That could have been a lot worse.
I think probably.
Yeah.
But it went well, and I have to thank Danny again for showing up on PB Precipice. Danny, any last thoughts before I give my closing remarks here?
No, I think that's it. Maybe if we could get one more link to the IL playlist, that would be good to close out. If you guys want to see what these ILs look like when they all come together and everything actually turns out perfect, rather than just kind of doing a no reset here, then check out that playlist. It's got all of the current records for all 12 glitchless ILs that I've posted in the last few weeks. Yeah, so that's it.
Awesome.
Thanks for hanging out with me, and thanks for having me on, Adef.
Of course, always. So gamers, thank you so much for watching PB Precipice. Before I give the GDQ announcements, I'll just give some updates on Challenger Approaching and PB Precipice, because people seem to like watching these shows, so I'll give you some updates. There will be no PB Precipice on the 26th, as I will be out of town for the holidays. And then there will be no PB Precipice on the 9th of January, because that is a GDQ. And so the next PB Precipice is on the 23rd of January, eons away, I know. But it will be back, no worries. And Challenger Approaching this Friday is the 1-year anniversary of Challenger Approaching, so I will be playing a video game. And we'll be talking about some favorite moments, clips, etc. It's going to be a good time. But big GDQ announcements. First of all, right after this is It's Dangerous to Go Alone, featuring games with physics fun, so tune in for co-op runs of Portal 2 and Fogs. Tomorrow, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, is Awfully Silly, followed by That's Never Happened Before. One and Done-a-thon is coming up next weekend, starting in December 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern. So you can see more info about that on gamesdonquick.com/hotfix. And also, gamers, AGDQ 2022, that rhymes. Starting on January 9th, visit gamesdonquick.com for more information and detailed dates on the event. Yours truly, Adef, I will be on the interview team for AGDQ 2022. So if you want to see more of me, I'll be doing lots of the in-between game interviews that week.
That's exciting, dude. Good luck with that.
Thank you. I'm pumped. I've been wanting to do that for a long time, so I'm pretty pumped about that. But gamers, we will see you soon. There is more hotfix coming up right after this break, so don't go anywhere. There's a lot more gaming to happen on this wonderful Sunday. So everybody take care.